Big Les's League, an all rugby league experience. Hello, welcome back to Big Les's League, an all rugby league experience. Welcome to another episode of the drawing board for round 23. Let's go through round 22 first. We'll go through our top performers, our shining lights, if you want to call it that. And then obviously go through our scores and a little bit of a review of the previous round. Then we'll get stuck into our trades. It is a hold week for NRL Fantasy yet again this week. We are going to keep things quite similar, but we've got someone coming back from injury and a bit of a layoff, obviously, with a few representative opportunities. He comes back into the side. I'm not going to give away who that is just yet, but he comes back in and he is really going to boost this score for fantasy. I could sense a 900 plus week again here, like we had 2 weeks ago for NRL Fantasy. That is what I'm hoping for. As for Supercoach, we are using 2 of our trades, which means we will have 8 trades left for the rest of the season. That is 2 trades per week over the next 4 weeks if we want to go that way. There's 5 weeks left, though, of the competition. So we need to use those trades wisely. But we'll obviously worry about that in a second. What we are going to worry about now, though, is our previous score for this past week, and obviously our shining lights for last week's round 22 of football. The shining light for Supercoach, it was Kale Ito, outstanding for the Sharkies, just coming out of his own end, was an absolute beast, tallying up a ton of points, 200 meters as well. He was outstanding and definitely the shining light of the entire game versus South Sydney. 87 Supercoach points in this one. So I think it's his best week all year, or maybe at least his second best. He might have cracked 100 a little bit earlier in the year, but it's definitely one of, if not his best week this year for Supercoach. In terms of the fantasy, top try scorer, or top point scorer, I should say, for round 22, the shining light for NRL Fantasy, it is the Prince of Penrith for another week in a row. Absolutely outstanding for the Panthers and didn't really need to do much in that side, but it got the game-winning try yet again, the game-winning moment yet again, I should say, for the Penrith Panthers. He was unreal, and he obviously was the shining light with 79 points for NRL Fantasy. Now, you're probably watching this going, Nathan Cleary, he got more Supercoach points than Kale Ito. I'm aware of that, but I just wanted to give Kale Ito the shining light there. Chuck another player in there, make it interesting so it's not just all Nathan Cleary yet again like it was last week, obviously with him returning, getting the highest for both my Supercoach and NRL Fantasy sides. Don't want to make it boring, want to give another mention to someone else. And I thought Kale Ito deserved a little shout there for the Supercoach side. So I obviously gave him a little shout out there for his 87 points, only 3 points off Nathan Cleary's score on the weekend as well. Both really solid performances. As a whole, though, for NRL Fantasy, 812 points. Look, it isn't bad. We're still happy with this score. But again, there is still improvement to come. We've still got a long way to go for where we want to be with NRL Fantasy by next year. I want to be pretty sound with it. I've been playing it for about 3 years now and slowly getting used to it every single year. But I sort of want to get a little bit more sound with it next year and get a little bit more consistent with these 800, 900 scores. We've had plenty of 600, 700s, which isn't really the best for fantasy. It's pretty good, but it's not the best. We want to get up there and get those really high scores consistently for fantasy moving forward. So that's definitely going to be something we're working towards for next year. But we are definitely improving. And I think the whole emphasis around this show, the drawing board, is literally in the name itself, the drawing board. We're going back to the drawing board. We're improving every single week. That is the whole emphasis of this show. This is why the drawing board exists. This isn't the rugby league guru who's probably one of the better players on the planet at Supercoach with, Timmy Williams there, who's obviously won Supercoach before. This isn't like that. You're not getting experts analysis here and there. I give my best take on who I think you guys should get based on, stats and obviously how they've played in club football and obviously what I'm doing for the upcoming week. But it's mainly for me as well to improve along with you guys. This is basically the battler going through and playing both of these and just getting better as he goes along. That's the whole emphasis around the drawing board. That's why I created the drawing board. It's what makes it different between, Beers and Break Evens and other Supercoach and NRL fantasy shows you might see out there, which is just real deep analysis. This is literally just the battler coming out, playing along with you guys, probably on the same level of, experience with both of these apps to what you guys are as well, and just looking to get better. So that's the whole emphasis behind the drawing board. As I said, not this expert analysis, boring crap that you get everywhere else. As for Supercoach, though, let's continue before we go on a bit of a rant. 1,014. Look, it isn't bad. It is a bit low for my liking compared to the scores we have been getting over the past 2 to 3 weeks. We'll need to sort of get stuck into this tidy up stage that we are looking to go through at the moment. And we're going to have to do that ASAP. Obviously, the 8 trades left now after this week, 10 trades leading into this round. We've used 2 of those already. And we're just going to get some goers into this side. And that has been the whole theme of this week, getting goers in. We well and truly have got goers coming into this team. Now, we've made a pretty big call here. We've made 2 pretty big calls. The first one, we've traded Blake Brayley for Harry Grant. Harry Grant, the best hooker in Supercoach at the moment, and he is going to get back to some pretty decent form. I believe he has a pretty solid break even going into the rest of the year, and obviously it sounds like Supercoaches or just the Supercoach system itself is predicting him to get back to those 2021, 2022 scores, which are pretty high, looking back at Harry Grant and obviously his history with Supercoach. He has been known to get some pretty high scores over the past few years. For them to predict for him to get back to that sort of level post-Origin is insane, and I cannot wait to see it, especially with the whole gang back together. Jerome Hughes, Cam Munster, Ryan Papenhuyzen back in the fold as well. I really do like Harry Grant to get some big scores, and I think he will as well. He'll stand out around those guys. They'll get real great ruck speed. And he'll obviously be a big part of that as well, and he'll generate points from that. So Blake Brayley out, who's one of the more cheaper hookers. We obviously lost a bit of value in Blake Brayley. He wasn't really what I thought he was going to be, trading him in after the injury to Jeremy Marshall-King. But look, we got some decent points from him at some stages when Cronulla were on a bit more of a roll, and obviously with the grindy period of Cronulla losing a few games in a row, we sort of got some points from him there as well. But obviously it is time to trade him. That score and average is going down into the 30s, and that's not where you want it. Harry Grant, his average is in the 60s and 70s at the moment. That is exactly what I need from my hooker. He had to come in this week, and he sure has, and I'm so excited to see how he goes. As for my other little controversial trade here for Supercoach, I talk about controversial. This guy was the most highly touted guy to come into your Supercoach side across a lot of platforms for a number of weeks. For the past 3 weeks, even I'd say 2 weeks, a lot of people have been hounding to bring this guy into your team. I'm making the big call here. I'm trading him out because I just think that his form's going to go on a bit of a slump from here on in. Dom Young's coming out of my side. I cannot keep him in. He's losing value. I think he's gone down nearly 100K in the past 2 weeks with some pretty average performances. I'm just getting him out now, saving myself the pain. The Roosters have the bye this week as well, so I wouldn't have got any points from him anyway. I just don't want that value to go down anymore. I want to bring someone all right in now. And I've brought in one of the better cheapies that I've already got for NRL Fantasy, Casey McLean. He comes into my side. I think he'll play first grade throughout the rest of the season. I cannot see anyone coming in and taking his spot. In fact, I probably can't see Paul Alamotti when he comes back into the team taking his spot either. Casey McLean's been solid. He's handled himself really well. He is only 18 years of age, but just how he handles himself at that age in contact and the way that he moves with so much confidence around there in the centres, I really do think that he'll rack up some points over the next few weeks. Had a big weekend against the Newcastle Knights. I think he will get some pretty decent scores between 50 and 70 over the next few weeks while he is in the team as he gets better every single week. So Blake Brayley, Dominic Young out. Big call, I know, but it had to happen. Harry Grant comes in. Casey McLean, the better cheapie, comes in. And I have nearly 200K to spare after making this trade as well. So not only is it good for me in the long term, or in the short term, but it's great for me in the long term as well in terms of the trades I can make leading into the back end of the season. Now, let's get into what our sides are going to look like. We'll go a bit different in a bit of a different order to usual. We will go through the fantasy side first. KO Weeks is at fullback. Kiraz moves to the wing with Bostock, Whiten and Kale Ilo in the centres. We've got Nathan Cleary and Jerome Hughes in the halves. Paddy Carrigan and Tom Hazelton coming back into the side in the front row with Reid Marnie at 9. We've got Josh Curran and Hamole Olakawatu there in the back row with Maxi Plath there at 13. We've got Casey McLean, Tamale Martin, Jack Howarth, and Sam Hughes / Cody Walker in jersey number 17. Now, pending on Cody Walker, his fitness, is he going to play at the moment? Dean Hawkins is training at 7. I need to get some updates from the boys at Rabbitohs Radio, who I'm currently working with at the moment, just as to if he is going to play this weekend. But it sounds like he won't play. Dean Hawkins will play in that number 7 jersey going into game day against the Melbourne Storm. So depending on Cody's fitness, if he is ruled out of this one, I am going to go with Sam Hughes. If he is able to play Cody Walker, I'll take him in there every day of the week. Now for Supercoach, Tommy Turbo, he is my vice and he is my fullback. I've got Casey McLean coming in on the wing with Jacob Kiraz, Blaze Talungi and Kale Ilo in the centres. I have got Matt Burton and Nathan Cleary in the halves. Aden Fanua-Blake and Fanua-Pole in the front row with Harry Grant at 9. Jack DeBellin, Tallis Duncan, Josh Curran, my back rowers. Angus Crichton drops out of the side because the Roosters, they do have the bye at the moment. So does Terrell May. And then the bench is Liam Henry, Jerome Hughes, Jaden Campbell, and Jake Tungo. He comes into the side as well with a few Roosters guys with buys. There you go. What about a bit of a rhyme there? Dr. Zeus, hire me now. But there you go. Those are my Supercoach and NRL fantasy moves and sides leading into round 23. Any late mail will be posted on the story via Instagram, and there usually isn't any late mail really at all. But as I said, if there is, it'll go up on the Instagram for sure. Make sure if you haven't already, if you want any more content like this isn't just a Supercoach and fantasy related podcast, guys. We go through all NRL updates, rumors. We do that on the YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are all over those platforms as well. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube. You go ahead and you follow the Spotify, the Apple Podcasts. We're also on Instagram as well. So make sure you go ahead and follow us on Instagram, Big Lesers League _ to become a part of that Big Lesers League community. That is another episode of The Drawing Board. Make sure it should come up either here or here, but our new video that came out yesterday, our news reaction to Blaze Talungi potentially going to the Panthers. We also talked about Stefano signing with the Storm. We also talked about the Broncos' season-ending injuries and some turmoil around the contracts at the Parramatta Eels at the moment. Some new players rumored to be walking out the door or being told they can negotiate with other clubs as well. So plenty of dramas around the league at the moment. Make sure either here or here, I'm not sure where it's going to pop up. It's going to pop up somewhere. Make sure to click on that video as well. We'll see you guys in the next one.